Alrighty, let's get into this. So, this little video I just wanted to make in celebration of Sonic's 34th anniversary today. His 34th birthday. I thought it'd be fun just to play the most recent game, like biggest like mainline game in the franchise. And let's see, let's do a little party outfit stuff right here. Let's see, right there, party details, perfect. And we'll start my biggest save file. Let's do this one. Yeah. 50 hours on this. Damn. Here he is. There's a little birthday boy. Hello, Sonic. Oh, this is on that island. I want to change the island if I can. How do I change it again? Switch maps. Okay, let's do the first island right now. Yep, got a 100% completion on all of that. Here he is. I always thought it was so cool they put a little birthday theme in this game. But yeah, I figured while playing the game, I'll just kind of talk a little bit about, you know, my history with Sonic. You know, because I've missed doing the spin dash right here. Ooh. But yeah, so you know, I've been a fan now for about like what? Oh, tower guy. Ah, my birthday boy! Don't fucking hit me! Ow! I'm not about to die right now. Right on top. There we go. Woo. But as I was saying before I got rudely interrupted, you know, I've been a fan now for about 11 years. The first, like, you know, I've known about Sonic like all my life. You know, like I remember, I believe the very first thing I ever witnessed about Sonic was back when they had the 2003 like Sonic Happy Meals. You know, they had a little they had a cool like little game, and it was like a little green like handheld that all you had to do was like jump around and like press buttons and whatever, and like one button to jump around, right? It was kind of cool. But I just remember like when I picked it up, I actually found it like on the ground, like at like the park, you know, when I was a kid. And I just saw like his character design. I was like, wow, he's so cool looking. Like that's the very first thing I thought of when I saw Sonic. I thought, wow, this is a really cool character design. And that's why I think, you know, Sonic's been so important to me, because like, you know, a lot of people like, you know, like they fell in love with the games first and everything like that. But you know, I fell in love with the character design first, you know. That's why I fell in love with like the most. I just really loved how he looked. I thought he was so cool looking. But yeah, I remember when I picked it up, I'm like, wow, he's a really cool looking character. And then then we moved up to Washington for a bit. And I remember my mom picked up a comic book from the store over there, and it was a Sonic X comic book. It was like issue 23. It was when he like has to fight like a transformer like robot from Eggman. It was really cool. But I remember I used to read that comic like every day, you know. I used to always, you know, like look at the panels, and like I loved how everyone looked. I loved how Knuckles looked, you know. Like I thought he looked really cool. That's also back when I thought Tails was like a girl back then too. But yeah. Ooh, hello. But yeah, no, I just I've always really liked how the character was designed and how he acted. I always thought like, wow, he's so cool. You know, like Sonic's cool, but like as a kid, right? It's a lot more important to you. It's a lot more like impactful. Oh, there you go. Whoop. But yeah, so I started off with like the character first, like a little game, and then I remember I got into the comics. The comics were really important to me too. Ow. And surprisingly, the first game I ever got into was not like an official game, right? It was the Sonic Flash games online. And I remember that, because back then I didn't really have a console to play a game with, so that's kind of like the best I could do. And I just remember like really loving like the pixel art and everything, and they had music in there, and oh my god, it was so much fun to play that game. It had only like what 2 levels in it and 2 bosses for like the Flash game, but everyone in my generation, like we grew up with that. We grew up with that game. Oh shit. I'm gonna fall off. And then yeah, for a long time then I remember watching the Sonic X anime. So I grew up with like a lot of like Sonic X themed stuff, like like the video game, because that was kind of based a little bit on Sonic X. I remember the comic book was on Sonic X, so like Sonic X is a very important part of my childhood. It's kind of like my first iteration of Sonic. And then, for a while after that, I really was not a Sonic fan, surprisingly. Like, for a long time, I actually, like, just, like, looked at other stuff, like, SpongeBob and, like, superhero stuff. I did not get back into Sonic until, surprisingly, his worst year ever, which was 2014 with, like, Sonic Boom stuff, That was when, for some reason, I just really got back into Sonic again, and I have no idea why. I remember all my friends talked about, the new Sonic game, right? It was like the whole, how Sonic Boom was like so bad, and like they changed all the designs of the characters. I remember going like, that's really dumb. But then I looked it up, and I could not tell you why, but like I was so invested into the series again. I think because everyone hated him, so everyone was like talking about him again, and I just like, I don't know. I wanted to get back into it. So yeah, on the worst year for Sonic is when I became a Sonic fan again. I just find that so fucking funny to me. I remember that's also when there's rumors that we were gonna have like a Sonic 06 remake back then. I don't, man, it was a lot of weird rumors back then. But yeah, that's when I started watching like little playthroughs, of like Sonic games, where I watched playthroughs for like Sonic Unleashed and 06 and I remember what Colors, that's a big one too. But yeah, no, that's when I really got into the series. I really started watching, like, I used to watch little MTVs on YouTube for Sonic. It's still a big important thing to me, but if you're a Sonic fan, I feel like watching MTVs was like a really big part of your childhood too. Remember that's how I watched the Sonic OVA on YouTube as well. Yeah, no, Sonic on YouTube was very important to me too. Like that's where I got most of my Sonic stuff. Like that's where I found out about Tails channel and everything like that. And my first ever official Sonic game that I owned was on 3DS actually. That's where I actually then started playing most of the Sonic games, was on the 3DS. Also, I think it'd be kind of fun to relax right now with a little bit of the Sonic Fission. So let's do that for a second there. One thing I kind of wish when in the Sonic fishing thing is that I wish like when you were fishing. Oh, big. I kind of wish that because you know when you're fishing and you get like a fish goes like that. I wish it was a lot more quiet, you know. Cause I just like the peacefulness. I kind of wish it was more like 3D-ish too, you know, because I like being in this area. It's so nice and peaceful. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, 3DS. I bought a Sonic Generations on the 3DS, and I remember like really getting into that one a lot too. Like that was my first Sonic game that I owned, so I played that so much, and you know, it was an anniversary title, so I really liked that. Like there's so many little concept arts and like music stuff in there. And when I was growing up, you know, we didn't really have internet, so being able to like play Sonic music like on my 3DS and like, you know, being able to look at the concept art and everything like that was like very important to me, you know. I also remember for the 3DS, right, like a couple of the big ones in my life. So I got every game for the 3DS, but the ones that were like really important to me that I sunk a lot of hours into were yeah, Sonic Generations for sure. I also got the Sonic Classic Collection. It had all the like, you know, old games on there, like, you know, Sonic 1, Sonic and Knuckles. And I remember I used to play this like a lot, so I really enjoyed the classic lineup of games. But I remember that I did not know how to get Hypersonic, and I was so upset. I'm like, how do you get him? Because what they did in the game is they had 1, they had 2, they had 3, and then they had 3 by itself, and 4 by itself, Sonic and Knuckles by itself. But then they also had Sonic 3 and Knuckles like on its own separate like, you know, save file, which was like, you know, back when you like little lock-on technology. And it was funny because I didn't know it was like a whole other thing. I thought it was just like an extra like, you know, mode or whatever. But that's how you were able to get Hypersonic, because, you know, back in the day they had the little lock-on technology, and you would take Sonic 3 and you would place Sonic 4 onto it, and that was how you made the game like the full game, like one of the best Sonic games of all time, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. So I had to look up a YouTube video about that to find out like how you get like Hypersonic, and I was so happy when I finally got Hypersonic. God, I miss Hypersonic so much. Just like I really wish they'd put that in the 3D games, but yeah, no, I remember finding that out for myself. It was like a little hidden, like a little secret. I was like so like excited for that. But yeah, so I remember that one, and not gonna lie, Sonic Lost World. Now I know Sonic Lost World has like a little bit of a, you know, a reputation in the franchise, but you know, that was like a 3D Sonic game on a handheld. So, you know, like that's really like important, you know, like for a kid that didn't have any consoles, like, you know, most people like be like, well, I played 3D Sonic games, like, but I didn't though, you know, like I didn't get to play those kind of games. So I like being able to play a 3D Sonic game like on my own was so much fun. So no, I really enjoyed Lost World on the handheld. Like even nowadays, like even if like, you know, I've played most if not all the 3D Sonic games, you know, I played almost like all the I played all the mainline ones, just not all the spin-offs, right? But as a kid, right, like I was playing it and I loved it. Even going back now, like I still have appreciation for that game. I feel like Lost World's a very like, you know, I like it a lot. It has some problems to it, and then I don't always like, you know, all the, you know, where the direction was going for that game, but I still was a pretty polished game. Man, those are my top 3 games that really defined my love for Sonic, you know. I remember, you know, all my friends had consoles, right? So a lot of them would have me play Sonic games at their house, right? So I remember playing 06 for the first time, and everyone like wanted me to hate that game, but I didn't actually hate it. I actually enjoyed it. Now, that was back when I was younger, right? And I got into Sonic. I remember that I really just did not want to hate Sonic, you know, like for a long time I was like, I can't hate Sonic, you know, like whatever Sonic does is like the best, right? And like, you know, it's kind of that kind of like phase of my fandom where like Sonic could do no wrong, and anyone that didn't like Sonic was an idiot. Also, I like this little party. Yummy. So yeah, back when then, and I was playing the game, I did like it, but I will admit there was the Iblis boss fight where it's when you're fighting him as like, you know, Sonic and everything and the gang. Oh wow, that was the first time where I'm playing a Sonic game and I was like actually not enjoying myself. But like, I didn't want to say anything, so I'm like, oh no, it's okay. But I hated that so much. I really hate boss fights that make you wait for so long. It just, ew, oh my god, that was so annoying. Also, I'm gonna do one more. It's so satisfying to do. Bum 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 bum. But yeah, I did that, and then the first 3D game that I ever completed was It's okay, Big. Goodbye. The first 3D game that I ever completed was actually at a friend's house. We had a little sleepover, and I actually just finished Sonic and the Black Knight. I didn't get the secret ending though until I bought the game for myself. But yeah, no, I actually the whole game at my friend's house. So I was bound and determined to actually finish one Sonic game, you know, at least one 3D game in my life. So I was like, yep. So that one also has a very special place in my heart too. But yeah, that's mostly, I feel like, you know, like a lot of my childhood stuff. And then, you know, I believe the first Sonic game I ever pre-ordered was actually Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric, and I was actually really hyped for that game. You know, even though everyone did not like Sonic Boom, I actually really loved like the whole franchise too. 'Cause I remember, you know, back again, I didn't have a console, so I couldn't play Rise of Lyric, but I did actually buy Shadow Crystal, and you know, back again when I didn't really have a lot of. Oh, I want to see what that looks like in photo mode. How cool is he looking that? I gotta make it to where I gotta see him in a certain angle. How come I can't get closer to him? Oh, there we go. I think I was doing it wrong. Hold on, there we go. Lower the camera. Oh, there you go. Okay, that's kind of cool looking. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's pretty cool looking. Let's do this. But yeah, I remember, you know, back then, like Sonic Boom, like I actually kind of liked the take on the character. I like the designs, you know. And I really enjoyed that game, but yeah, Sonic Boom I was very hyped for because, you know, it looked like a very polished game. And that's pretty cool looking. Yeah, take a picture of that. Hold on. Yeah, I like that. I like that picture. Very nice. Took a picture of that. But yeah, no, that's the first one that I ever pre-ordered, and also really enjoyed that game too. I think Sonic Boom not Rise of Lyric. I mean, that was a whole other thing. But Sonic Boom Fire and Ice though was actually I think a pretty polished game, and it's really nice that they really were trying hard, you know, with that game, because you know after that there's like no more Sonic Boom stuff, which is pretty sad. But yeah, first pre-order for that game, and then like. The first game that I actually, like, you know, pre-ordered and, like, it was, like, a huge game was Sonic Mania. Now, that one, 2017, like, you know, because, you know, Sonic Boom, Fire and Ice, my mom had got me that game. So it wasn't just by my own money that I bought through a Sonic game. That was Sonic Mania. first like Collector's Edition 2, and oh my god, that was like so excited. Like that was the first game too that I followed like almost every trailer, everything about that game. It was so much fun. And then also with that game, because at the same time too we had Sonic Forces, and I know people have their opinions about Forces, but again, that was also my first 3D Sonic game that I ever bought for myself. So even if I also had some kind of like gripes and complaints about that game, like that was my first 3D Sonic game that I bought for myself, and that made it very important to me, and I was very excited for it and hyped for it. And even if in some ways, even back then when I was like Sonic can do no wrong, a part of it didn't live up to the hype either. Because I remember being a little bit upset that all the people like that Sonic fought were like clones, right? Like Metal Sonic, Shadow, and Zavok. Like I remember finding out they were all clones was I had not liked that. I was like, well, are you kidding me? Even back then I was like, that's really dumb. But yeah, so Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces, like man, those were very important games to me back then. And then ever since then, I've like bought every mainline Sonic game, and like kind of like always kept up to date with everything. And yeah, it's kind of been that's kind of it from there, Then everything's kind of like that's history, But those are like my very important memories of Sonic. Also the comics, the comics were very important too. Like, my love for the franchise wouldn't really be there if it wasn't for the comics. The comics were just like just as important, if not, like as important as the games. Oh no, I fell off. Like you could still do stuff like this. Let's get to one of the cyberspace levels. Actually, I want to see if I can find one of them. But yeah, the comics are very important to me. That's why I was like, I was very sad when, for a second we thought we weren't going to have any of them anymore. But thankfully now, we have a whole IDW stuff, and they're going strong. Thankfully. Sonic is just, when I was younger too, a lot of my friends, because we were kids, a lot of them made fun of the fact that I like Sonic, and, everyone was kind of like, in good nature, just kind of teasing and stuff like that. But, as a kid, it did used to bother me because, like, Sonic was, like, very important to me. Because I went through a lot as a kid, with a couple of things going on. Like, not like a lot of shit like some kids can go through, but, just enough where, I was very sad a lot of times. And Sonic was like the only thing that actually made me happy. Like, it was the only thing that, like, I could have like a really bad day, and if I had anything involving Sonic, like, I was happy, as simple as that. And it's just, it was sad that I couldn't really share that with anybody. Like, there's no one at school I knew that liked Sonic, so I was kind of on my own about that, and that was kind of sad. Because, when you love something, you kind of want to share it, and, like, there's no one to share it with you, like, it becomes kind of like you feel very alone. So, I remember I used to go on online forums and talk to people that like Sonic, because that's kind of all I could do. But, yeah, Sonic is, like, one of the few things I had as a kid, like, or more like a young, because not even as a kid, really, but more like a young adult. Is one of the few things I had that, would actually make me happy, and that's why I think I've grown so attached to the character, because, like, Sonic is, like, always there for me. I've never been disappointed by Sonic. I've never, he's never, like, made me upset. He's never, like, oh, didn't really hit that day, like, oh, I was having a bad day, and I played Sonic, like, oh, I didn't really feel like that. But no, like, I still, like, just, I don't know what it really is that I've just grown so attached. Maybe it's like through trauma bonding, where it's like I've gone through so much shit, and I've always gone to Sonic, so now I associate, like, good times with Sonic. But I love the character in the franchise, like, so much, I I think not only just the, you know, everything around it, but like the character himself is always about never giving up, right? And I love how confident he is, you know, and like who he is as a person and his abilities, you know, like he never doubts himself. And like he always is looking out for his friends, but like he always follows his heart, you know? And I've never been confident growing up, you know, and I'm not really confident, but having a character that never gives up and follows his heart, like no matter what, I just love that so much, you know? But yeah, I just, you know, the music, the art design, the characters are just my whole life, you know, and it's funny because, you know, everyone that knows me and gets to know me, like, always knows that I love Sonic, you know, like, it's just a big part of who I am as a person. And I've always thought it was kind of cool that, like, you know, after all this time, everyone knows that, hey, he's a Sonic guy. And I've always just been like, you know, it's kind of cool because, like, that's how important he is to me, that everyone, you know, ends up getting to know me, knows that I love Sonic. And I've always just thought that was kind of cool. And, you know, it's, you know, for a while, right? Because I was a Sonic fan when, like, you know, the franchise was kind of going through a lot of, like, you know, like a lot of stuff. Like, it's kind of in a drought, honestly, you know? So, being able to be a fan for so long, and, you know, seeing games like, you know, this game, like Sonic Frontiers come out, and, you know, being able to be like, wow, we're actually in the era now where, like, you know, Sonic's at a really good place in life, you know? Like, the movies are coming out now, and, like, all the new games, stuff like that, like, it's just so nice. Also, I think, to end off my video right here, so, you know, I could do some more later, but I think I kind of want to do, also we'll do, that's too strong, though. I want to do at least, let's do, which one was, like, a little bit less, he's too strong in that one. I'm gonna kill that boss like in a couple seconds if I do it like that. I think that one's a good one. Yeah, let's do that. I want to fight him. But yeah, it's like, it's just weird to think that, like, you know, so far we've gotten to a point now where we're like, you know, we're actually having great movies, and like, you know, they've all been amazing. And like they've all, like, the movies saved the franchise. Like, it's insane where we were at a point with Sonic where, like, you know, we weren't having like big games or anything, but now because of the movies and everyone likes Sonic again, like, we're having big bunch of games like Frontier. We got, you know, Sonic X Shadow, like, Generations. Like, man, it is so good to be a fan right now, and I'm so happy that we got to that point, you know. Like, I am just, you know, I am beyond happy for this franchise. Like, Sonic needed a win, and I'm just so happy that we finally are getting that win. And see, that's why you never give up, you know, because Sonic's gone through, like, so much, like, even more so, like, than other, you know, gaming platformers. Because, you know, like, when you really think about it, you know, for a while, like, we're not really in an era of, like, platformers, you know, like, you know, some people might say that, but I'd say, you know, like, we're still in, like, that, you know, multiplayer type, like, you know, like, oops, shit, no! Get back up there! Wait, how do I get to it now? How do I get over there? Uh-oh. They still think I'm on there. I'm not on there, game. I'm not on there. Don't worry, I got it. There we go. Whoop. Oh, I almost got it. Come on. There we go. Whoop. But yeah, no, Sonic is like a platformer, you know, the fact that it stayed alive and still relevant for so many years after like going through so much, it just really shows like how strong this franchise like actually is, you know? Ooh, okay. Here we go, bye-bye. I gotta see, no! Yeah! Let me get up there, come on. But I feel like, you know, so many other platformers that are not Nintendo, you know, are kind of like gone now. And the only time that you see them really are like, you know, during like, you know, revivals or like, you know, remasters. And everyone's like, oh yeah, I love those games. But then like, you know, they never go anywhere. But like, Sonic is like the only one that has been like pretty much consistent, right? And has stayed kind of relevant. Even in the years he wasn't really relevant, he still has been like, you know, pretty popular. That's why I do feel like, in terms of like, you know, popularity, Sonic really is number 2. Like, you know, Mario will always be number 1. He just it's fucking Mario, you know. But, you know, for Sonic to be this popular, with like, you know, a landscape that's not really platformer-esque anymore, if it's not Nintendo, you know, I'm just so happy that he's on top again, you know. He's all popular again. I'm very happy for my blue boy, you know. Ow! Oh boy, there he is, Giganto. I still remember like how I felt when like, you know, this guy was like first like announced and everything. Like, man, that was so cool having to fight him. But like, I was so fucking hype. I remember that. Oh my god, so hype. Also, sorry, I'm like getting food right now, so I was getting that grabbing out of the oven. Alright, Giganto. Got my full attention. Let's go. Whoa, wait, whoa! Whoa! Ah!
I'm hanging on to the other side. I won't give up till the end of me.
Oh my god. Let's go! See, that's why I don't like him being so like strong, because you hurt him like in a couple hits. See, I just like, oh my god, you can't even really enjoy it though, because you just kill him in a couple of seconds. And I remember first playing this boss, oh my god, that was an experience I'll never forget. I always look that part. Oh my god.
Welcome to the mind of a different kind. We've been growing so late. Guess you don't really know me.
I don't care, it doesn't count. I wanted to have fun. Well, there you go, man. Well, Sonic, happy birthday, buddy. And thanks for always being there for me. Until next year. Alright, gonna be the end of this video. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Hope people that are, you know, like Sonic are gonna celebrate his birthday good. I gotta go to work soon. But, yeah, just have a great day. And goodbye.